full effect doing the lines. So and pretty prompt response actually. I was pretty impressed with the way in which everything came together so quickly.
They've had their power in.
Yeah.
We still got houses without power?
17, but they are largely houses that are uninhabitable. So the electrical systems within the house, unsafe, so they won't put it back on.
I think this is one of the houses that I was seeing photos of.
Yeah.
So is this where it just touched down?
It came through and on the way south. So right from this area, this is one of the worst streets that was affected. Nera, you were down here on Saturday with me, and you could see the sheer amount of work that was being done. Yeah. G'day, how you going? So we've got the skip bins in the street now for the rubbish, and we're going to do the green stuff. Yeah. No,
some of the big things saying that there were quite a few fence posts, so not just roof line.
Oh yeah, Oh no, that's minor there. But you'll see the house over there, the orange unit.
Oh yeah,
the damage is quite extensive.
So at least in terms of the danger of corrugated iron with individual tiles.
Well, you wouldn't have a concrete tile there.
No, you certainly would not. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that fence posts are going.
Oh yeah. You could see actually one of the houses at the end. You can see where debris has just crashed into the side, and it is nothing short of a miracle actually that we didn't have serious injuries and deaths in this residential area. I mean, you know.
Hi, how are you?
But you see on the house with the orange roof there, you can see the extent of the damage that can be done. And this place here, I think we called them here on Sunday actually. And
so they're just weatherproofing the home.
Yeah. No, it was pretty impressive. There's a guy. There's a guy out that had his whole company out on Saturday for free, putting tarpaulins over roofs. Raju. He did a fantastic job.
Was he from the community?
They were working on other houses and stopped their work.
Yeah. Fiji and Indian, a lot of the community in that part of the area are from Fiji. But it's just great to see the way the community came together as well as the services.
Are you hearing that the people are having an issue getting hold of those who can come in and do that for you?
I think there's some issues about that, but I think they're the immediate leaders for securing their houses and that. So looking at tarpaulins and security. So people have been talking about property when they're staying somewhere else, who's looking after their property in the meantime. And the police have been really responding to that really well.
I know that was in those early, that first evening, that was what we had a quick conversation around. There was that concern, and it was great to see the police be so responsive. Do you think that security of people's property, are they still worried about that, or is that
I think that's a natural feeling for anyone.
Yeah.
But it looks at least as though some of those houses were really damaged, that they've been able to secure the property.
Yeah. I think it was the first night that people were worried.
Because they hadn't secured their properties
everything
properly.
was smashed, and they were worried that if they couldn't stay there the night.
And without electricity and power as well.
It was a pretty miserable time. Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Don't worry about it.
Hi.
So those that are the rubbish, there's things that they know that council should be doing, cleaning up the rubbish, the debris and that. And that's been, again, the council have responded well to that. But it's the long-term things about the insured families that are worried about.
I was just talking to the mayor about whether or not relying with the mayor relief fund, relying on some education that some families don't know about it, or one's why, whether or not we need to build in a bit of because of the numbers, we actually do have to really do outreach.
No, that's important, and Red Cross was really important in the first few days about getting leaflets out about the Ellen Brewster Centre and where they could go to raise questions. So by and large, I think the response has been good.
Yeah. But we should keep that in mind as an option to ascertain.
Yeah.
Because we will make available to them. Yeah. Good morning.
So fortunately the water supplies and the wastewater weren't affected.
Yep.
Everything that was underground was naturally
60-40 would have
protected.
picked up.
Yeah, that would have been an additional problem we didn't need.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this you just get a sense of the glass that would have blown out.
Yeah, some of the houses you can see, probably maybe not in this area, but where the force of it is just blowing the glass straight through.
So this is someone's already out of this home.
Yeah, that would be uninhabitable at the moment. Curious that they haven't got tarps over the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's red sticker. You can see the red sticker on the top there.
Yellow. Yeah. Hello.
These places has got one of our council ladies living in it.
So this council housing?
No, it was it. She works for council.
Oh, she works for
council, yeah. Yeah, a lot of the infill stuff, which is more substantial. There's a place with a broken window, which a bit of debris would have gone through. And you can see the damage just on the tiling over the windows.
So yellows are able to remain in.
Yeah, they're habitable. Parts of the house are at close. But it looks like somebody's living in there at the moment.
I was hoping for not too much more bad weather.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually you can see the damage just on the side of the wall where the next window where something's come through. And they had a fence through joining up the pillars here, and that was just smashed out. Yeah, aluminium.
Yeah,
it looks a lot different from Sunday.
It was all drawn.
Yeah.
And I think during the week all will still be cleaned up, so there will still be a need for council to come in and clean it. So it will be an ongoing clean-up.
Yeah, this is almost unrecognisable from a couple of days ago.
Saturday was a nightmare.
No. So it's a physical sign that that we're on the path to recovery once you can get rid of the debris. It was amazing, people had their cousins, aunts, uncles, nephews, all come around to help clean up. It was a really remarkable community response.
Barbecues rolled out, so people were just trying to ensure everyone was well fed.
You can tell that a community is coming behind when you look at the welfare services and how easy they were, that people would go to one another.
Tekanini Kukwara was out.
Oh, were they? Yeah. That doesn't surprise
drinks,
me.
hot food. It was really great just to see how they mobilised. It was some great people around.
Speaks to the resilience of them.
Yeah.
Just see there's a car train.
Okay, so we.
So is this the?
That's
Is that what was sitting in between?
Yeah, the element. You'd wonder that that could have been.
Oh, yeah.
The wind would have gone right through it. No. Whichever sort of fence you've got in this area, it was just wiped out with the wind and everything.
Because I saw some
I believe one of the scheduled that we're going to come to the end of the street and we're going to see your family that you
Oh, great, thank you.
Puanui Road was one of the areas. When you rang me, I was actually outside the house would belong to a police constable, and I think I told you the story. The windows blew straight out. There was glass all over the room, and the baby's cot was there. The baby was in the cot, and she wasn't touched.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, those are the stories that kind of that you really want to celebrate.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And Mum had been in the shower at the time, and of course she tried to get out into the room, and the forces and things wouldn't let her into the room to see if the baby was okay. So yeah, so it was pretty traumatising.
Yeah. And how long did people talk about it lasting?
It was only about a minute.
It wasn't long at all. I
Yeah.
live not far from here. It was
So people would have had basically no warning, just suddenly their whole houses.
Yeah, and would have wondered what the hell was happening. Yeah.
And I've seen
Now
this.
those are probably the worst damage of the houses there. I think they had blood, they had migrant workers in it.
Yeah.
But those are, you know, the roof was taken off completely.
So we thought you'd like to see it.
Yeah.
So there was another lot of footage about it. House under construction. This is the apartment blocks we know all this was on. This one check is famous
The end. So the daughters have gone to school, which is really
That's good, yes.
but this is Amandeep.
How are you? Nice to meet you. How are you? I'm Jacinda. Nice to meet you.
Hi, how's it going? Good. Yeah, I'm not from Wellington, so I can I can shake hands. Hi, how's things? Nice to see you.
See, I've been in Wellington and here.
Yeah.
So you're home?
yeah, in the back one down.
In the back here.
It might be worth having a quick look down there.
Yeah. Would you mind if we came with you?
Yeah.
Would you mind if
Yeah.
You lead the way,
So, where are you staying?
We are renting the house.
Yeah, you found another. So you found another rental. That's good because you were in a hotel, weren't you? Were you
Yeah.
staying in a hotel?
Yeah.
Yep. For a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit alright. Everything already.
Yeah.
My kids are very scared now.
Yeah, I bet. How long do you think you'll be in a rental for?
I think so. Insurance company said maybe 4 to 6 months.
Yeah. And so it's yours down,
Just the back one.
down the back. Yeah.
There were 4 cars here, 2 cars here.
Yeah, okay.
So they had to have no insurance anything.
Okay, so you weren't relying on this
Yeah,
one?
that one too.
Okay.
The total lost everything.
Oh, so where were you sleeping when it
Just in my
hit?
bedroom there.
Ah, okay. And so the glass was...
Yeah, and the back side of the from there.
Yeah.
A lot of tree in the back. You just
Yeah.
shut on the windows and back and see. You're gonna have a look at the back.
Yeah. That must have been very
Yeah, how old? One is 5 years and
Five?
one is 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
And so where were the girls?
This is the best room here.
Uh-huh. And the glass blew in.
You both of them here, the glasses in there.
Are they in
And
the
full of
same,
the tires in the top of the room.
are they in the same room?
Yeah, same room.
So they were together when it happened?
Yeah, the last night before, like morning, the day off. They will get a movie looking there, sitting there.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And the houses all through the back,
Yeah,
so
a
it
lot of
must have
tree,
really
just a lot of tree there, just
Yes.
chuck everywhere there,
Yeah.
keep clean up today.
Yes.
Yesterday.
So you moved everything out of the house?
Yeah,
furniture, et
everything in the
cetera.
water inside all the night. The car not happening, so now no way find it. Water coming from the inside.
They said how long it would take to do the house?
6 months, he said, 4 to 6 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
It's,
and when the movie.
And so you managed to get all of your things out of the home?
Yeah, all of the
Yeah.
very hard, the stuff going out for the kids.
Yes.
yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. And then the work starts. And it looks like your neighbours have been hit as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you have any warning? Did you know what was coming? When it hit, did you know what was happening?
nothing, it's just only the normal thing. I think normal thing will come in, the black thing come from there.
Yeah.
And I tell them wife to put the curtain on, just so kids in the scale.
Yeah.
And a second, 2 seconds, just bang and the glass inside everything. Yeah.
Just seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did it last for? Quite quickly? Was it quite quick?
Yeah, very quickly.
Yeah. Quick but very destructive. Thank you for showing us your home. I'm glad that you live somewhere else, that you're safe and out. Did you say it was just close, nearby? Did you find that yourselves, or did you have some support to find another place?
Yeah, should be.
You did you find the house to
Yeah,
rent?
already
Yeah.
found the hormones is in there.
Here are some things for you, girl.
No worries. Thank you.
Dogs, just to help them feel nice and brave. I know they must be really finding it hard at night.
Right.
So these are from my little girl.
Okay.
And we talked a little bit this morning about what happened to them. So
Yeah, no.
she had a lot of questions, and here's some other ones. It's all dogs.
Yeah.
So please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There's some extras perhaps for their friends as well.
Yeah, thanks so very much.
No trouble.
Yeah.
Please look after yourselves, and
Yeah.
if there's anything anyone can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll head back down your driveway.
That's a perfect example.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodness me.
That's
There's a
remarkable.
fence post that's come from here.
Yeah, that's, just imagine if that had hit somebody on the way through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fence posts through there. It's quite a bit of force to be able to.
Yeah. You could,
And oh my goodness, right in the flat path as well.
yep.
Yeah. We just don't get many weather events like this.
They said there's about 10 tornadoes a year, but most of them don't register. They're out in the country. Nobody's heard.
I remember that one on the North Shore was the only one that I remember in recent times.
Yeah, Hobsonville. They said,
Yeah.
a couple of people told me that was even worse than this one.
Was it?
Yeah.
But it just didn't come into a residential area.
Well, yeah.
That's Tuesday.
Yep, so we'll make sure follow the safety rules here.
Right.
Yeah, look at those places there. You can just see that's I don't even know whether they bother rebuilding.
Oh, you wouldn't, would you?
It's
Do you know who are these privately owned?
yeah, they're rental properties. So I'm not sure who I think probably the one who's both, but I'm not sure. There's Reese, he might.
I would have thought we should.
There's one landlord owning all of these?
That is my understanding.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So they'd be written off, wouldn't they? It's
Absolutely. Yes. And
a bit hard to see.
It's a large parcel.
These ones
Yeah.
have been recently.
Yeah.
It's my understanding.
And nobody was in those at that time?
It was my understanding that it wasn't fully tenanted.
Okay. I think I read somewhere there might have been somebody that
It
was
was
downstairs.
some
It
downstairs,
wasn't.
yeah.
It wasn't
I
bad
think I've seen a
downstairs.
picture of Jenny with someone who I think might have been in the thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they're in that middle one and the last two deaths. It's my understanding.
Yeah.
I don't imagine you could rebuild that. You just,
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But as you can see, it's the green waste now that's and some residual iron. But because we've been able to secure this, that's why it hasn't been collected. So we're prioritising the areas that
and
are out on the
also
street. Yeah.
needing to know what's going to happen long term with the building. There's probably no
Yeah.
point cleaning up around something that is
Yeah.
demolished.
Yeah. It's actually a whole lot cleaner than it was
Oh,
on the
yes, I've
weekend.
seen that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So if we
I'm going to remove my mask so I don't have to yell quite as much. But if we switch over to other people, I'll don mine again and have someone else move in. We do have those with technical expertise in the recovery who are available to answer questions. We also have local board representative and of course one of our local MPs, Dr. Neru Lavasa. So please, any questions that you'd wish to direct more Wardley. Also obviously Mayor Goff. So hopefully we'll be able to answer any questions you have. One brief introductory comment from me and we'll go straight into questions. This is my first opportunity to come and see the aftermath of what has been a devastating tornado that in a very short space of time has done a huge amount of damage to this local community. But one of the really noteworthy things has been how much cleanup has been done in a short space of time already, and that really comes down to the joint efforts of a community that has rallied our emergency responders, the efforts of council, and just friends and family of the community as well. What will be incredibly important is over the coming weeks and months that the support the community needs continues to be provided. I know work's being done at the moment on supporting those who need to find alternate accommodation. We've also supported the Mayoral Relief Fund for those who, for instance, may have welfare needs that are really immediate. That's a highly discretionary fund that the Mayor and Council are able to tap into. And I've just shared with the Mayor if there's any additional need or it needs to be topped up, then I'd ask that we just be told really early so that we can get onto that quickly, because we are ready and willing to support. Feel free to ask any questions you may have.
Are you pleased with the speed? Do you think enough has been done to clean up so far?
Oh, you can see just the difference between the immediate aftermath of the tornado and just the effort that's being put into removing, in particular, any dangerous debris and waste. Obviously, a bit of green waste still to be cleared, but just a huge testament to the community here and the work of our emergency responders that so much has been done already.
Not all families have been able to get back into homes. What are you doing to rehome people that need it?
As you walk around, you can see the red and yellow stickers. Red obviously indicating it's a home that is not able to have a family return to it. In those cases, we're supporting families to find longer term accommodation while their homes are rebuilt. Just speaking to one family who's already found a rental, the focus is to try, as we've talked with emergency responders today, to only move them once, so trying to find long-term accommodation as quickly as possible.
What has been the demand on the Mayoral Relief Fund and MSD services?
I'll have the Mayor respond to that question if you'd like.
Yeah. The MSD Disaster Relief Funds, there's been, I think, about 205 applications made to that. That's the first point that people will come to that have extraordinary needs. The Mayoral Relief Fund consists of 200,000 made up of 100,000 from government and 100,000 from council itself. We've had 9 firm applications. We've got another 17 in the pipeline, and that's for a variety of things. It's basically the two things that mark that fund is, one, it's to deal with hardship where you can't get support, you're not insured, you can't get support through other channels, and the other is flexibility. So we'll be quite flexible to try to ensure that there is no family hit by this natural disaster that will be left in a situation of hardship.
Is the 200,000 enough?
Well, the discussion I've had with the Prime Minister, and she's generously said that, look, if there is a need for more, government will put more money in and we will match that money. So the scheme is flexible, but I won't ask for the money until such time as it's clear that we need it. The first point of call is through MSD. For the disaster fund, you don't need to be on a benefit for that. And for our fund, as I say, it's about hardship. It's about making sure that there is nobody falling through the cracks that we need to give assistance to. I think that's what the community expects of us, and that's what we'll provide.
What's your time frame for rehoming all of the families that need it?
Well, at the moment, I think the latest figures I've seen, there were 93 people in emergency accommodation provided through our Auckland Emergency Service. That's a bigger number than was at the start. I think people, their first instinct on the first night, the second night was to stay with family. As it became clear, you can see some of the houses, there'll be months of work here. So we've got emergency management, which is largely hotel accommodation at the moment, but from next week we'll be looking at providing people with longer term temporary accommodation. The Prime Minister made the point very clearly that we don't want to be shifting people many times over, so we've got the emergency accommodation now, but from next week we'll be looking at longer term accommodation for those whose houses will need extensive work.
So the bill from this could be massive.
Well, it's a little bit hard to tell. We're talking the damage overall from this is in millions of dollars and potentially tens of millions of dollars. What we're trying to do, insurance companies are coming to the party. I applaud the insurance companies that I've heard of today that have waived the $5,000 excess. I hope that that's a model for other insurance companies to follow. No pressure. And really the way in which the community has come together, again, the Prime Minister and I were talking about what I saw on Saturday. She rang me when I was out on the streets on Saturday. There was one builder who took his entire workforce into this neighbourhood and without charge had his firm putting tarpaulins over the roofs of houses that had been damaged. That is fantastic community spirit. People out helping their neighbours, people, family and friends coming in to help those in the area that were affected. This community has shown a remarkable resilience, and I pay tribute to them for that.
Some folks we've been speaking to are still very worried about leases and people being here to shoot here. Also, many have had unbroken locks for property developers. What would you say to people like yourself?
From day one, it was clear to me on Saturday that people's worry was that their houses weren't secured, and if they had to sleep somewhere else, would their possessions be safe? That's the normal reaction. I want to acknowledge the police. I raised that with the police on Saturday. They had foot patrols, they had car patrols, and there is still quite a strong police presence in the neighbourhood. We have not had any firm evidence that there has been looting. There may, I couldn't rule out that there are opportunistic people around that exploit others at a time of disaster and misery, and absolutely condemn that to happen. But the police have not had evidence that this has been in any way a significant problem at this point. But we still need to maintain that security and those extra patrols in the area.
What would you say to any property developers?
That is just totally insensitive and totally inappropriate. When people are in the midst of dealing with a crisis in their life, they don't want somebody coming over and say, look, I'll buy your property off you. Just be sensitive, be human, show a bit of decency. Sorry, Prime Minister, I'll pass it back to you.
This is just a kind of question, Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Obviously, across the bid, you can see cases starting to trickle into between states. Any thought given to a pause on the bubble generally?
Oh, we keep our arrangements with Australia under constant assessment every day. In fact, more than just daily, hourly, we're looking at what's happening in other states and assessing whether or not we need to step up our requirements or our restrictions. We've already paused arrangements with Sydney. We've been looking to whether or not the border arrangements with Sydney give us enough comfort to maintain travel, but again, we're constantly reviewing whether or not additional restrictions are required, and we won't hesitate to apply them.
So what would it take?
Well, again, if we don't see enough around the border controls with a state that is experiencing an outbreak, that's something that we'd give consideration to adding additional either restrictions or pauses. It's something that ministers, again, as I say, are constantly assessing, and so we do that throughout the day on any given day.
Are you seeing enough in New South Wales?
Obviously there we've got already a pause in travel there. You have states applying restrictions themselves, so they themselves are shutting off movement from New South Wales. But that doesn't change the fact we'll still look at whether or not we need to do more, either extending pause or, for instance, things like pre-departure testing.
Prime Minister, it's a crucial day for test results today. How are you feeling? Have you had any word of any early results?
Again, I'll leave it till the Minister and the health team to give you an update at 1 p.m, as is our general practice. But you're right, over the next 48 hours, that will be the time when we'll be looking particularly at those known close contacts around their test results. We already had initial results from 4, obviously, that we knew were very much close contacts. They had come through negative, but we will keep testing them to see if there's been any delay in the onset of symptoms or infection.
Just on the need to, obviously the need for Air New Zealand staff who have been vaccinated to self-isolate is going to be removed. When will that be removed from the general population who are vaccinated?
Look, as you will have seen from this particular case, here we have a visitor from Australia who had one shot of the vaccine and who has COVID-19. We know that vaccine absolutely increases our level of safety, but it is still too early to say whether or not it offers the kind of protection for everyone that can allow us to remove other restrictions. What we need is good vaccination rates amongst our entire population, not just a small group.
Prime Minister, 2 questions from my gallery colleagues. Today's hate speech laws, will this put cancel culture on steroids?
Absolutely not. This is a direct response of some of the recent experiences New Zealand has had. And keeping in mind there are already obligations that already exist in New Zealand based around, for instance, ethnicity, but there are just some areas where those provisions don't apply. So what we're asking in this discussion document is, should those areas be extended to include, for instance, discrimination based on or hate speech based on religion?
And many Kiwis are still struggling to access medical cannabis in New Zealand. Has the government made a mess of the medical cannabis market?
No. We have moved on enabling access to medicinal cannabis. One of the things we said right from the beginning, though, in making sure that we had adequate protections in place for that legalisation, asking whether or not the threshold for manufacturing may be placing too heavy a burden. That's something we always said we wanted to keep an eye on, and I imagine that we'll keep that under review. Ultimately, we want New Zealanders to access safe products to manage their medical needs. If that is not what people are experiencing, then we will keep looking at the system we've created.
Back to hate speech, will your proposed changes to hate speech prevent another attack like we saw in Christchurch?
Well, what we're trying to do here is just make sure that all our communities and that people, regardless of, for instance, the religion they practice, don't face speech which actually, on any New Zealander's test, is just not something that is in keeping with our values. And so that's what we're looking to extend here. We're asking for the public's input, but we already have requirements in place in New Zealand. They just don't necessarily cover things like religion. All right, last one.
An issue when you were former electorate Prime Minister, you would have seen the CRL businesses on Albert Street and other protests yesterday. Do you think there should be more help for them?
And look, this has been a debate that's been live for some time, and I know there's been some discussion amongst CRL Limited around how where there has been perhaps a longer period of works that has been anticipated, what supports can be provided. So I'll leave it to them to complete that work. All right, and I've shared the view many times, and it hasn't changed. Thank you. Really pleased to see, as the Mayor has pointed out, some insurers waiving access for the rebuilds here. That's the kind of community spirit that we would like to see applied across the board. There will be homes here that will be insured, but there'll often be contents that perhaps won't be, and that's where we need to rally in support of those who have had a devastating experience here. Thanks, everyone.